Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal. I'm joined by the fine folks here, Final Transmissions, which we'll be talking about momentarily. The horror hippies, Stephen, Hugh, and Erica Nelson. Good to meet you both. Alex Era, it's good to meet you. And Sophia Cassiola and Michael Epstein, it's good to meet both of you. Or see you again, I guess.
It's not that good.
Finally we meet.
So who would like to start with just the basic premise of what Final Transmissions is?
Yeah, sure. I'll take a crack at it. Eric and I are the creators and showrunners of Final Transmissions, and it's a 6-episode found footage analog horror series that we're currently crowdfunding for. But yeah, it's been percolating in my mind for a long time. It started with a title, I don't even know how many years ago, 12 years ago, called Transmissions from Hell. And the title just stuck in my brain. And eventually that turned into Final Transmissions. And so just meeting these amazing creators along the way, we've been doing a festival circuit for our movie Old Wounds. And we've just met so many wonderful creators and amazingly talented people like Alex and Sophia and Michael. This is half our team. We have 5 others as well. But yeah, it's the premise is that it takes place in 1999, and it's in a small town called Eldridge, Illinois. And there's a local public access host who has a show, and he claims that he's been receiving these mysterious transmissions from beyond. And so we kind of have a wraparound that is similar to like Unsolved Mysteries or Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction, those shows from the 90s. And then, so every episode is the host presenting one of these transmissions, which will be a segment, short, made by one of our lovely creative teams.
So you said series. So, I think I wrote anthology, think it was like a feature film, but it'll be a series. And what would be your plan to do with the series? Like, where would it be?
Yeah, we're open to all sorts of options, whether it winds up on a service like Screenbox or Shudder, or if we self-distribute, we're open to different ways of getting it out there. Definitely inspired by Mark Duplass and how he's been raising funds, doing crowdfunding for independent television. And he went around with the Creep tapes and was playing festivals where they would play 3 episodes. So we've thought about doing that as well next year, is hitting up some festivals and showing some episodes. So yeah, we're just taking it one step at a time and trying to raise the funds right now. But yeah, it's a little wild. I think most people tend to focus more on movies. So just wanted to
I've actually had advice given to me from different people I've had on the show. They said that series is the way to go because different platforms want content. Like, I kind of hate the word content, but like, it's more stuff than just like one movie.
Yeah, and there's definitely potential for a movie version or a spin-off. We already have ideas for a second season, but that's how it always goes. I was going to say,
just the idea sets it up for more, especially like you said, meeting cool people at festivals. I mean, that's how I got involved in doing anything movie-wise.
Yeah, for sure.
For some reason, these two like me.
Let's not get carried away. Just kidding. Of course, we love Neil.
So, Alex, how did you get involved? Where did you meet the horror hippies here?
So we briefly met at the Unnamed Footage Festival last year. I don't know if I even had a full conversation with Steven, but we were at the festival, and Steven texted me after, and we had a brief conversation. And then I think it was just earlier this year, or maybe late last year, that Steven sent me a text and kind of pitched me on Final Transmissions. And I was like, wow, that sounds really cool because, I love analog horror. I did a documentary about analog horror a couple of years ago. And I love found footage stuff. I've been making found footage. I made a web series a couple of years back, and then I made a found footage feature film last year. So it's just this perfect intersection of different things that I love, and getting to work with such a cool team. And getting to kind of do this interesting format where it's an anthology where each episode is its own like self-contained analog horror story, that it's like a, it's analog horror, but it's analog horror in the sense that it's like actual like full-length found footage, stories set in the analog like time period. And I just thought it was really awesome. And so here I am.
What kind of guidelines are you given for your story? Like, are you just like, you make whatever you want, or like it has to be, I don't know, the length, or like it can't be too much like somebody else's? Or
Yeah, I mean, we did a little bit of discussion about it, but Stephen and Erica have been very kind of open to whatever ideas we each had for our own stories, as long as it kind of fits within the runtime needed and isn't too similar to someone else's. Then, yeah, I feel like we were given pretty much free range to like pitch ideas and just come up with stuff that we all thought was cool.
And what would be the runtime that you would like for each episode?
Yeah, somewhere in the 25-minute range, 25-minute, 30-minute range, and that's including the wraparound portion.
Yeah.
But we really wanted to just give them full creative control and just get as weird as possible. And I love having the series format because nowadays, you don't have to have a set running time. Like if someone delivered something that was 18 minutes or someone delivered something that's 32 minutes.
Yeah. You're like, you must knock 7 minutes out of this.
Yeah.
And we did have a couple episodes that sounded like they might be similar, but they worked together to make sure they wouldn't be too similar.
Yeah. I always think the things should just be as long as they need to be, like, or should be, like, not that they should be 2 minutes if it's part of a series, but I've seen your shorts that work at 2 minutes, and then, and you've seen like a movie it's an hour and a half, and like, oh, that could have been 2 minutes. Or,
Yeah.
Michael and Sophia, so yours is interesting. Can you explain what you're filming?
We actually so my hair looks really out of control today because I thought I didn't have to look like a human, because we were going to be on this discussion using the camera that we were shooting on, which I got to work on Zoom, but then when we tried on StreamYard, it did not work. But it is the PXL 2000, which is a Fisher-Price camera from 1987. And it shoots on audio cassette. So it has like a little deck that opens and you put an audio cassette in here. And it's a very unique look. And we kind of have gotten obsessed with this. This is actually, we have two of these, and our cats are involved. We have two of these, and our production mate also has one. So we have three PXL 2000 cameras. And we wanted to create like a fixed camera situation where we were inside of a command module on a moon mission, and we were looking at the events that happen within just the command module. So it has a very unique feel. It has a strange look. You can't really see anything very well. It's very low.
It's black and white, and it's like 190 pixels.
Yeah.
So
15 frames per second.
We have them modded to send out an HDMI signal, so we'll be able to record it
for the nerds
in ProRes, like idiots. So record our 190 pixels in ProRes 422. But yeah, so that's the plan. We this is our first like true found footage movie, so we're really excited. We've done tons of mockumentaries. We did one with Neil called Umbilicus Desidero. We did one with our dog called Bloodhound. We did a feature film called The Once a Future Smash, also with Neil producing and acting in it. So we're very versed in mockumentary, and now this is our first true found footage. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed with movies set in space, and I have had so many scripts taking place in a spaceship on the moon, etc. And it's usually like a thing that I get to the budgeting stage. I'm like, I cannot afford to rent a spaceship for this. Right. So we've come up with this situation, and our production partner Bill has built a little tiny module in his apartment. So it just kind of all came together that like, okay, we can actually do this affordably with friends and stuff we have. So that's really exciting for me because I love sci-fi, and sci-fi horror is like my absolute favorite, and I never get to do it. So,
one thing I want to add too is that part of what I love about this project and everybody involved is that we're all approaching it like these are stories that need to be told this way. We're not, because I think a lot of times people people who have a negative view of found footage, I think they land there because they see a lot of movies that are like, well, we didn't have a lot of money and we don't really know how to use a camera, so we'll just like shoot something.
Yeah, we'll look at the floor and shake it.
Yeah, like whatever it is. But I think when you're looking at good found footage, it's stories that that take advantage of that format, that are necessary in that format. We could shoot our movie a different way, but I think it doesn't really work. It's written specifically to function in that way, and I think that's true of everybody involved.
It can really take you out of the movie too if like you just like, well, why is there a camera here recording this?
Yeah, exactly. That's
just so it is found footage, you know.
Classic question.
Yeah.
I love too how your segment means our franchise immediately goes to space.
Yeah. You don't have to wait for episode 10. Yeah. We're going straight there.
Or Leprechaun 4. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Alex, what was your what is your segment going to be about?
So my segment is called Bethel Hill. I'm being very vague about all of the details, but the basic pitch is it's about two hunters in a very peculiar, very isolated religious community, and they encounter something strange and otherworldly in the woods, which causes them to confront some truths about themselves and their own town.
And what are you filming yours on? Is it like
the plan is that we'll film ours on High 8.
What is it? Sorry,
High 8.
Okay, all right, very cool. Now the hippies here. Now, are you also going to have your own segment?
Yeah, so we'll be handling the wraparound stuff, but
yeah, we've actually already shot most of ours. So we kind of had planned to do it for a movie version of this that we wanted, but it ended up being a little bit longer, and this is moving forward faster than that. So we decided to use it for this. But yeah, it's called Dr. Midnight. And do you want to?
Yeah, a man has watched a cursed video and has to go to a haunted hospital to confront Dr. Midnight to try to remove the curse. And it was a ton of fun to film. We filmed on the same High 8 camera that we filmed our movie Old Wounds on, which is the same camera that Anthony Cousins filmed Frogman on.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
so making the rounds. Our friend Carson just shot a found footage movie with it as well. But yeah, it was just, we went to a real haunted hospital that's maybe 90 minutes from where we live.
Yeah, it's called Yorktown Memorial Hospital. It's in the middle of nowhere in Texas.
And yeah,
and it's actually haunted.
The whole town is like a Dairy Queen and a gas station and this haunted hospital.
That's all you need. Yeah, it's the three go-tos.
And so they locked us in there by ourselves at midnight, and we just ran around, no electricity, with just our camera and a flashlight.
That sounds like a movie in its own, just like walking this onto place.
And it was pitch black dark. I was like hiding in the corners, being like the ghost in certain parts. So
yeah.
I was like all by myself in the pitch black dark.
Wait, I thought it was a real ghost. I saw it looked like a real ghost.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we were going for like Blair Witch meets Silent Hill sort of vibes.
Yeah. So going in, did you, Erica or Steven, did you believe in ghosts going into it? And did it change your mind after being in the haunted?
I mean, not really, but if anything had like even brushed my arm for a second, I feel like it would have changed my mind.
I told her in advance I would not be scaring her at any point. I value our marriage too much.
Yeah.
But if you had asked me even 10 years ago about ghosts, I mean, I was a huge believer growing up. I mean, growing up in the era of Unsolved Mysteries and X-Files, and I actually lived a few minutes from Bachelor's Grove, which is one of the most haunted cemeteries in Illinois. So I used to go visit there. So I really, really believed, but nowadays I'm not so much.
Well, I think, you mentioned some of those shows, and there was a few of them when I was growing up too, but now there's like a million of them and they never find anything. So after a while, it's like, oh, maybe, there's a reason they're not finding anything.
Yeah.
And literally everyone has a phone, and but not to discourage anyone out there who believes in ghosts. But,
our series will make you believe.
Yeah.
There you go. Sophia and Michael. Now, did you already have this camera? Like, how did you come about it?
No. So, I mean, the short version of the story is we were at our friend Bill Molt's house, who we've collaborated with in a variety. We've worked on projects with him. He's a cinematographer and he works as a gaffer. He's worked for us as a gaffer before. So he's just a good friend of ours. And we were at his place, and he had built the spaceship set to do like a tech support from space kind of series that is on YouTube. There are a couple of episodes. What is the name of it? Do you know?
I forget.
Okay, well, if you search for Sophia will find it.
But one of our other friends also shot a short film called Alone in the
Yes.
capsule, and it looked amazing.
It's a beautiful build. It's a really cool build.
He went to like this like electronics like recycling supply store and just bought like all sorts of weird stuff and built it into like a 3-wall set.
I realize this hasn't gotten to the camera question
Yeah,
yet, but it's getting there. So
this is how our inspiration strikes.
Yeah,
so.
we were at his place, and he was showing us the set, and we were like, "Oh, it's really cool. You know, oh, we should do something in this sometime." And he's like, "Yeah, you know what, whatever." And he's like showing me all the stuff he has around, and he's like, "Oh, did you ever see a PXL 2000?" I'm like, "Oh, I've never actually like held one, but I'm very familiar with it." And he pulled it out, and he showed me like the modded version that he had. This guy named Patrick Gill is like kind of the world expert in modding these cameras so that you can, you know, get different kinds of outputs and amplify them different ways, so you can do the kinds of things we're doing.
You don't have to use the cassette tape.
You don't have to use the cassette tape, right? And so Bill had one of these, and I was like, "You've got a spaceship set and a PXL 2000."
That's all you need.
I was like, "Can we make a movie on this set with this camera?" And he's like, "Yeah, we can." So I went home, and within like a few weeks, I think he thought like that was just I was like saying a thing.
Never say yes to us. Is
Yeah.
the moral of the story.
So he said yes, and then I went home, and a few weeks later we had a feature script of this story, and then you know that had been kind of kicking around for a little bit. That answers the camera question. So I won't. But we got involved in this project. And we realized we could take that feature script and do a shorter version of it. There was some discussion about shortening it anyway. So, yeah.
So, Alex, what interested you in analog films? You said you did a documentary about it.
Yeah, I have kind of always been interested in analog tech. It's always been kind of mysterious and cool. And I got into like Marble Hornets and other like alternate reality games online. And especially around like the late 2010s, a lot of those started being analog horror, like Local 58, and then Gemini Home Entertainment and stuff. And those were really inspiring to me when I was first started like taking my first steps as a filmmaker. And so I found them really inspiring, and I went and made my own analog horror web series during the pandemic because I was bored at home doing nothing. And so after I finished that web series, I was like, well, this analog horror thing is really interesting, and I love all these projects, and I love making it. And so I decided to go make a documentary about the history of the whole genre, basically. And it's just kind of remained an interest ever since.
Is that available anywhere? Like the
it is.
stream?
You can find it on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@AlexHera_.
And I watched it
I
watched it a couple of weeks ago, and it's really awesome because I knew relatively little about analog horror.
Yeah.
And I saw the length. I think it's like around 3 hours.
It's literally 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours. So I looked at it, I'm like, I don't know, 3 hours. And then I turned it on. I'm like, I'll watch a few minutes of it. And I did end up, because I had to go somewhere, I had to break it up. But I was totally like gripped by it. Like I thought it was really, really interesting. And I love the connections that you made and kind of the way that you threaded the story of it. So I think for anybody interested in horror history at all, I think it's a really great doc. So,
and that's kind of become our Bible in a sense. Like,
yeah, Alex is our analog expert.
Yeah. That's actually I had seen it before I ever met them, so you know that's where that connection came from.
Yeah. And Eric and Steven, why found footage? What is it about found footage that you guys are into?
Yeah, I mean, I have always loved the format. Especially, I saw Paranormal Activity when it was an early screening before it released wide, and I thought it was real. I was totally convinced, and I just fell in love with the format. And then everything that came out after that, I just really loved that kind of first person, put you in the shoes perspective. And then when we were thinking about making features and how do we make this a reality, it just kind of came back to that of like, oh, hey, we can make something that we don't need super professional equipment and a million lights and all this gear. So it ended up being a love that turned into a practical solution. And now we've shot 4 features. One of them, Old Wounds, is out. And now we've got the series. But I just love the format, and the community behind it is so amazing too.
Well, it's not out. It's done.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, they have a festival just about found footage movies. So
Mhm.
it definitely has a big audience. Or it's
Yeah,
got
Unnamed
the-
Footage Fest.
Yeah. So Erica, what was your favorite found footage movie?
It's funny. I actually, when he told me he wanted to make found footage movies, I was like, I really, really don't like found footage because the only thing I had seen at that point was like Cloverfield. And it was just like so shaky, and I got very nauseous. I just didn't like the format at all.
It's not great. Yeah.
But then I saw other stuff, and like I actually hadn't seen Blair Witch until recently.
Oh, really? That's interesting because I have always thought that if you watch it later, I in my head, like I didn't think it would. Maybe it doesn't work. But what did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated it. Yeah, I didn't think it was like real or anything, but
Yeah, because it's really a product of that era. Like when it came out, like the internet was just big enough that like it had some buzz, but it wasn't too big where everyone knew it wasn't real.
yeah.
And so I don't know if you're not caught up in that at the time. I didn't know. I always think like the movie doesn't work. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I saw Paranormal Activity when it was like after all the hype, and everybody was like, "It's the scariest movie ever," and I was like, "It's not that scary." Like, I don't know. So yeah, I had a very different perspective,
Tough critic.
but I love
Yeah.
it now. And then,
All right. Well, what made you love it? Because it seems like you don't love it.
I mean, I love that it lets us make movies for a lot less than we be able to, and I think like some of the tropes that we've played with, it's a fun way to, subvert those expectations.
Yeah. You mentioned Frogman. I really like that. You mentioned that it's traveled around, and I've noticed some other people doing that. Like they take their smaller indie movie and they'll kind of tour with it, and I think that's really cool for other indie filmmakers to at least try to do.
Yeah, Anthony's had a good amount of success with Frogman, and there's a Frogman festival every year. We're hoping to do a mini tour with Old Wounds. But yeah, things like Hundreds of Beavers have really kind of...
Yeah, that's a really fun movie too. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got movies like Skinamarink and The Outwaters, and getting theatrical releases, making millions of dollars. So it's a really exciting time right now to be in the format.
Yeah, and I can't. I have to admit, I'm not a fan of Skinamarink, but the idea that it did really well is like that's cool. That something like made for very little has got out there so much.
Yeah.
He loved it. It was like his favorite movie of
All
the year.
right. Yeah, I know it's very
Love it.
divisive.
Polarizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
So Sophia, what is it about outer space movies that you like?
I just like, if I were born 200 years in the future, maybe I would be on spaceship. That's my dream. No, I was a big Star Trek kid growing up, so it's like it's just where I feel happiest. But even like stuff like Event Horizon, where it's like, okay, shit's going wrong. I just love it. I don't know. I love like seeing smart people try to solve problems. It's like Alien or something. Like it's just whatever it is, it appeals to me. I was like, okay, scientists, I love them. So it's just a thing I've always wanted to do. We did do like a time travel movie, which is kind of like the closest we've gotten to space, which is not at all. It's just time travel, called Magnetic years ago.
With a lot of analog components.
It's true. It's very cassette
focused
heavy on that one
Well,
too.
smart people figuring things out, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It just like it appeals to me.
You like science fiction that's more sciencey as opposed to just people blasting people with ray guns.
Yeah. More than just like the 60s, like there's an alien or like the Gorn jumps off of that rock. Like that's silly. But like, they have a lot of episodes where it's like they're confronting real issues. And I love like socio-political horror, and I think sci-fi is like a great place for that as well. So.
Sophia's a Star Trek, not a Star Wars.
No, yeah.
Right.
It's only Star Trek.
I like both of them, to be honest.
I watch some
I'm
Star
fine with
Wars
both
shows
of them.
and stuff, but it's Star Trek's where it's at.
Andor's pretty good. I like Andor.
Yeah, Andor is good.
So, Michael, where do you stand on found footage films?
I have gone through cycles of experience with them. For a while, I love the concept of Blair Witch. I remember, when it came out, and that was probably the first found footage, like the first thing that I was, I think I'd seen Cannibal Holocaust at that point and other things, but I think the concept of like thinking of something as found footage didn't really exist in the public in that way. So when Blair Witch was coming out, I heard all the rumors, and I kind of got like, I knew it wasn't real, I think, at some point early on, but I was kind of like excited about the idea of people being fooled by it, the idea of going in and trying to like treat it as a real experience of like seeing something you're kind of not supposed to see. And I don't think I loved the movie when I saw it, in the theater when it came out, but I liked the concept. And then I don't think I saw a lot of found footage, after that for a long while. I've actually never seen a
We
Paranormal
still haven't
Activity
seen
movie.
We're gonna binge them all.
They will not
That's
watch
fair.
themselves.
They will not
Yeah,
watch themselves.
because one of Michael's things is just like watching entire series of things. So Paranormal Activity is on the list.
So I have to. The thing is, I can't watch a Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, we
movie,
have
so
to
I
watch
be
all of them.
committed.
I'm the
to
same
watching
way,
them.
honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So anyway, but then I started seeing some really clever. I mean, I've always loved what I would call. Hopefully, this isn't too much of a sidetrack, but this concept of like culture jamming, creating things that are like cultural artifacts or messing with expectations. And so I've always been obsessed with like, there's like a band called Negative Land that does a lot of kind of like projects that are in this space. There's a movie called Tribulation 99 by a guy whose name I'm blanking on. It doesn't matter. But anyway, this movie Tribulation 99, where he took old footage of aliens and conspiracies and kind of stock footage and told a whole story, like narrated through it. As if it was like a real conspiracy story and it interconnected like all of politics and religion and aliens and all this stuff. And so I've loved stuff like that forever. And this, this all predates, Blair Witch. This is way before Blair Witch because I'm old. So I've always been in that space where I love like creating things that are messing with your expectations and understandings of reality. And so once I started realizing that found footage was something that really could do that, and started seeing some films that were kind of in that space a little bit or playing around with the format of found footage, I started to appreciate it a lot more. And there are some movies that I really love, like that are weird meta layerings. Like I love this movie Butterfly Kisses, which I don't know if everybody's
I was
seen.
just gonna say that.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just like we were at a festival. We were at Genre Blast, and we met Eric there, who has passed since, sadly. But we met Eric there, and he's like, "I've got this movie. It's a found footage movie," and I'm like, "Oh, great! Like, I'll go watch your movie, whatever." And then I started watching it. I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome! It's like 3 layers of like different people constructing stories, and it's like a complete. It's about this like, kind of creepypasta urban legend thing." But the story is
like
told.
a demon that like the butterfly kisses your eyelashes.
It gets
so
really close
creepy.
to you.
Like
Yeah.
if it gets too close and it's like getting
feel.
closer each time, you'll feel the eyelashes.
Yeah.
No thanks.
But that's not even like the important part. Like that's already cool.
No, but that is creepy. But go on.
But that's not even the important part. The important part is this like meta discussion of like, it's about a guy making a movie based on footage he found. So it's a little like Cannibal Holocaust in that sense, where you have people like in the movie exploring found footage, but then he's being filmed. It's just like many layers. I don't want to even like spoil it or anything, but it's enough layers of found footage and kind of an exploration of what the genre is and what the idea of filmmaking is that I thought like that's a really inventive and like fascinating way to approach it. So I don't know. I won't dominate too much time, but I just saw, I got a little bit obsessed with, as part of our film, also making a documentary about the making of our film and making the documentary kind of like an abstraction as well. Cause I just saw the Radiohead documentary, Meeting People is Easy. And it's, in a way, it's like a found footage narrative film. It's a sort of a documentary, but it's kind of structured to tell a story about a certain type of emotion, about a certain type of experience. And it's not like it tells a story of a traditional documentary where they're like, this happens, then this, it's more like the feelings of being in this certain experience. And I thought like, oh, we should, make a documentary as well while we're doing this. And so I love those many layers of what found footage can be, is the shortest version of that. Too long, didn't read. That's the answer.
No, that's cool. Alex, how about, where do you stand on found footage?
I love found footage. I mean, I love traditional films as well, but I really view found footage and like related fields like alternate reality games and stuff as like kind of the cutting edge almost of like storytelling right now. Like, I feel like there's so much you can do with these formats to create these ideas of like immersion and sort of embodied spectatorship and just telling really interesting stories that you can't tell in another format, and like really playing with the audience experience in a sense. Like I did a film last year called What I Remember, which is not a horror movie, at least not in a like strictly the definition of horror sense, but it's a mystery drama film, and it utilizes data moshing a lot and does a lot of like I think, interesting things with the found footage format. And so for me, it's really about the opportunities that found footage provides to tell stories that we've never seen before. And tell it in formats like in terms of the chronological ordering of things and the way the camera is utilized and where the audience is placed within the world of the story and how information is relayed to them. That I think there's just so many interesting things you can do with it, that like there's still so much opportunity that people aren't really taking advantage of. Like there's a lot of great found footage movies, and there are some that are very experimental and doing very interesting things with the format, and there are some that are they're fun found footage movies, and it's people running around with cameras and stuff. And I think earlier in this conversation, someone brought up this idea that like found footage, is best when it's telling a story that can only be told in the found footage format. And I totally agree with that. Like if you're telling a found footage story, the great thing about that is that you get to tell a story through the lens of found footage, right? And so you control what the audience sees, you control their viewpoint, you can have commentary on the nature of cameras and recording and memory and all of these things that like you can tell through traditional filmmaking as well, but that found footage really kind of lends itself to and gives you unique opportunities to do. And so I think it's just a really interesting format to tell those kinds of stories and to really push the bounds of what storytelling can be in cinema to an extent.
Wow, that was an impressive answer. Make found footage movies.
Sorry.
Some people here in the chat. Don't worry, I got it. I watched Blair Witch when I was 11 and thought it was completely real and a little traumatized.
Yeah.
I'm like Michael. I didn't really think it was, but as like a pro wrestling fan, I never thought it was real either. But I just like the idea that it blends like this weird world of is it real, isn't it? And your suspension of disbelief.
I think it still has the creepiest ending. Like just that.
Yeah.
guy
The
standing in
ending's
corner.
great of Blair Witch.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler. I saw it in the theater when I was young. I won't say my age, but I remember leaving with my friend, and she was like, "Was that real?" And I was like, "I don't know, maybe." Like we couldn't tell. You know?
I also think for me personally, because I grew up playing outside in the woods a lot, and I think if like people of a certain age who was outside more, or maybe not just an age, but if you're outside more as opposed to being indoors, I think it hits you differently. Because I remember being out with my friends out in the woods and finding like weird places.
I wonder if anyone's seen Blair Witch 2 and thought it was real.
I've never seen 2. I should watch it.
It's just a narrative film.
Okay, yeah.
It's a wild film.
Yeah, I remember not liking it at all, but it has quite a following now. I would like to actually revisit it and see if I like it now. Knowing it's not, like anything like the first one.
It's got that extra kind of meta layer that Michael was talking about.
Yeah, no, Blair Witch 2. I love Blair Witch 2. I mean, I love Blair Witch 1 more, of course, but Blair Witch 2 is so much fun to watch, and I'll leave it there.
And too, you were talking, Alex, about like ARGs and kind of interactive elements, and that Blair Witch 2, when it came out on like VHS, that's one of the first times I remembered having that sort of interactive element, because there was this whole thing where if you like watched it in reverse, there were clues, and you could go to certain scenes and find things that would reveal a message. And I remember it just fascinated me, and it made it feel like alive. It made it feel like, evil or something,
Well, I think that's what we're all trying to do all the time, is engage audiences beyond just like, I have made a movie, look at it, and that's it. I mean, that's like I think, that's what's great about this space, is that you can, even if it is just a movie, even if it doesn't have those other components, it asks the audience to be engaged in a different way than like a traditionally shot narrative film. And I know like when we worked with Neal on the Once and Future Smash and End Zone 2, we wanted to like create an experience. So the idea around the movies was an experience rather than just like sit and watch our movie, like a kind of a mythology and an understanding of the world around it. And I think that's what another component that really makes, and I think that's what Alex was saying as well, with the kind of engagement and inviting the audience in to participate. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I think you guys have kind of talked about this, but Dean wants to know, do you want to do reality-based stories or more fiction, supernatural takes on your analog stories for the anthology?
See, this is an interactive element here too. We got a little
Yeah.
pop-up video.
Yeah.
These are all fictional. I can't speak to y'all. Were you inspired by real events in any way?
When you went to the moon, Sophia.
Yes, I mean it is inspired a little bit by just like going to the moon in general and what you
Sure.
might find there. And there's like a couple like 60s movies.
Planet of the Vampires is
Yeah,
a big inspiration.
But
If you
it's
know that
very
movie.
inspired by
Do
Planet of
not.
the Vampires.
It has no vampires in it.
The vampires are like electrical beings.
Ooh.
So that's like an element in ours too, a little bit. These electrical beings.
They're like stranded on this planet, and they I'm spoiling it, I guess, but it's
50 years old, so
they're stranded on this planet, and they kind of possess people. They kind of possess the astronauts who land there, and that's kind of the idea of it. So it's more like Planet of the Ghosts or something. But
yeah, there's no
Ghosts
it's
of
not,
Mars?
blood sucking.
Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah.
It's a little more like Ghosts of Mars than, which is not an inspiration for this movie.
How about the wraparounds? So is there like a host? Is there like a host that does the wraparounds?
Yeah, which we haven't said publicly, but I guess we could give you a little exclusive. It's going to be Brian Villalobos, who is a fantastic actor out here in Austin. He's actually he has a character in a Pokemon series that's out right now. He's also a character in the new Destiny 2 video game. But yeah, we've worked with him before. He's in Old Wounds. He's hilarious. We just filmed Frogman Returns. He's in Frogman Returns.
Nice.
But yeah, he's the perfect blend of weirdness that we need for our host character. So yeah, he'll be. It's going to be fun because you're getting the package of this show, like this kind of public access show, but you're also getting a peek behind the curtain. It kind of like Late Night with the Devil. So you'll be getting kind of peeks into how these transmissions are interfering with the host and the crew, and then subsequently the people of this town. So yeah.
How will that stuff be filmed? Will that look completely different from like each of the episodes?
Yeah, honestly, we haven't picked a camera or anything yet because that's going to be the last thing that we do. But we'll make sure to give it its own kind of look and feel. But it's definitely supposed to be kind of a low end, something that you would see. Like I grew up with a show called Graveyard Theater that was broadcast out of Indiana, and just kind of like a cruddy little set that they handmade and.
Yeah, not like public access, but like a local channel kind of thing.
Yeah. Kind of like your Sven Gulli sort of thing, but with even less money than that.
Yeah, we had like Creature double feature and stuff for it.
Yeah.
Dean here. Analog horror is so great and popular online. I spent hours relaxing in bed watching like 4-hour compilations. What inspirations do you have behind your project? So, Alex, do you have a specific inspiration for your story?
I don't think I have a specific inspiration. I kind of draw from a lot of things. I go out like exploring sometimes, and I watch a lot of movies and read books. And so I'm just kind of always absorbing and writing down little ideas and notes and stuff. For this, I think I was inspired a bit by a couple of different like cults. Also just some musicians like Nicole Dollinger and Ethel Cain. And then like, for me, I think I draw a lot from just people I've met or places I've been, like small rural towns and people there, and people I've met throughout my life. And for me, like found footage for this short and for really all of my found footage work, the thing that I always find interesting about it is finding that place where like you can get really like authentic human drama and very like realistic feeling characters to brush up against the supernatural and the horrific, and to like find where that like intersection is where you have these like this very gripping emotional like realistic kind of human element and the horror stuff. And so for me, I'm always trying to find that line and find new ways to kind of explore that and explore the ways that people react to different situations, and using found footage as the lens to kind of look at the way that people react to different situations, especially if they have a camera.
So I should have mentioned this, if I was professional at the beginning, but there is the Indiegogo campaign, which I'll have the link. I already had the link up, but I'll have it on the website and everywhere. Give some ideas of, well, first of all, where does the money go to create this?
Yeah. So it's, broken down into like, it's going to film all the segments, pay for cast and crew, all the editing, the tech, the equipment, everything like that. So
yeah. And so what are some of the perks that are available?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've got there's roles that we have available for people. You could voice an alien in Sophia and Michael's segment. You could voice a ghost in our segment. We're going to be putting up a few acting roles probably by tomorrow. But we have there's access to a Discord where we'll have all sorts of behind the scenes stuff, and that's where we'll be doing some early sneak previews and screenings of the episodes before anywhere else.
A special VHS tape.
Yeah, VHS tapes.
Like producer credits, things like that.
Yeah, you can get a Polaroid from Orbit, which I think is a cool perk here.
Yeah, the story Bible lore.
Yeah, Alex is offering a whole book of lore.
My episode is very based around the mystery and the experience of unraveling the mystery of the town and kind of what's going on as you're watching it. And so, yes, you can purchase a story Bible of lore. And I don't think it'll tell you everything, but it'll get you some of the way there to figuring it out.
And I saw someone here that we had covered this, but they had asked specifically about how many episodes. But you said there's going to be 6, right?
6 episodes, yeah.
And for people who well, they could have just go back and listen to this, but it's going to be a series, not an anthology.
Yeah, 6 episode series.
Series could be an anthology. Twilight Zone's an anthology series.
Very, very good point.
Oh my God.
I'm just
being pedantic.
I'm just saying, it's anthology doesn't mean movie.
That's very true. That's true.
Yeah, it's if you check out our Indiegogo, we've got our really cool poster that Sophia and Michael found this old TV and took these amazing photos.
It is very cool.
Make a cool poster out of that, and then the pitch video that we all contributed towards, and we made it. We wanted to make it kind of in world, and we all kind of lent our own style to it, and that was a lot of fun. And Evan Churchill, one of our team members, he does like glitch effects, and he can do all sorts of stuff with the actual tape footage, and he uses heat and magnets and all sorts of ways of messing with it. So he was able to do that on our pitch video. That's really cool to check out. And we'll be making more announcements too. We have a big one tomorrow that we can't give you a second exclusive, but we have another big announcement tomorrow.
All right, very good. And where will that be?
We have an exclusive article on Dread Central that should be dropping around 11 a.m. Central, and then we'll be posting and sharing all of that.
Yeah, I played the pitch video on the podcast last week on the live show.
Oh, awesome! Thank you. Yeah,
and everyone was really into it. A lot of people here in the chat. By the way, wherever you're watching is very cool. It's easier for me to see the comments if you're on YouTube. I know there's people on Facebook and Instagram and Kick and wherever else. But anyway, come to YouTube. It's a lot easier for me to see what you're saying. But I appreciate you watching wherever you are watching. So Sophia and Michael. So I know now what you did with the TV. Will you be using that TV at all in the film?
I don't think so. It's funny because it powers on, but the CRT tubes or whatever are broken. So we actually had to project fuzz like TV snow onto the front of the TV when we were taking photos. So it's a huge piece of furniture. We didn't even quite realize how heavy and giant it is. But we might be doing something set in the 80s later this year. So I'm going to hold on to it and use it as furniture prop maybe and then I'll probably give it away. But it's really awesome looking. It's straight from 1988.
Yeah. So. And will any of the dogs make an appeance?
I don't know. Should they have a dog? So in Star
space.
Trek Enterprise, there is a dog.
No.
The captain, the terrible show.
But
the dog is pretty cool.
There's no dogs in space. There's only one. I think
Maybe it'll make it into your Polaroid from orbit.
The cat wants in. The cat wants
Cat
in,
really
apparently. Yeah.
Pets-
What's the cat's name?
Rufus.
Rufus. All right, that's a cute cat name.
Rufus the
I
Soul.
taught him to jump on my shoulders when he was a tiny kitten, and now I'm paying the price.
Todd Yeager says that Planet of Vampires inspired the Alien opening.
Oh, that's
I'll have
fun.
to go back and look at
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I know Alien's very similar to Queen of Blood too. That's
I
a lot of it
love
was
Queen
like
of
taken from Queen
Blood.
of Blood. But anyway, that one.
They bring back a pregnant alien.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if
Yeah,
she's
she's
pregnant.
laying eggs.
Oh, she is. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
the same
I
same
mean,
premise basically.
yeah.
Like, sort of. There's no eggs in Alien. Anyway, whatever.
Wow.
Now I know Sophie and Michael's is taking place on the moon, and Alex, I know you don't want to give too many spoilers, but like whereabouts is yours going to be taking place?
It is taking place in a small, isolated rural town. What state? That's part of the mystery.
All right.
Anywhere USA.
What dimension?
It's our dimension.
Ours is
not that
above
mysterious.
the moon.
Yeah.
Ours is above the moon.
And we're not really saying
Well-
when ours takes place, but it's sometime between the 60s and 80s, basically. Like it's past. Yeah.
So the 70s.
No. No?
Inclusive. I think inclusive of 60s and
I
80s.
It's like
see.
it's a lost mission.
Which
If
I
you
only
have-
learned-
Go on, sorry.
I was just gonna say I only learned about Apollo 18,
After
the
we
movie,
started
after we
this,
wrote this.
Which
but,
is a cool found footage.
and we watched
movie,
it.
but,
Yeah, we watched it. We're like,
Oh,
okay, it's fine.
yeah.
It's not.
It's different
It's
enough.
different enough. It's
Yeah.
fine.
And do you have a page specifically for Final Transmissions, like a social media page?
Yep. We have an Instagram, Final Transmissions. We have a Blue Sky, Final Transmissions.
We have a TikTok,
TikTok that
but we don't know
haven't
how to use TikTok.
fixed yet, so we'll get that.
You have to do like a milk crate challenge or something, or what? I don't know what the new challenge is, but
Yeah, summon a demon challenge. We could
Yeah.
do that.
There you go.
Do we know the Final Transmissions dance? Has anybody learned the dance?
Oh,
Oh my-
I don't know.
I'm on TikTok, but yeah, I don't really use it very much. I'm not going to be very helpful there, but it's not hard. You can figure out what to do on there. That was
Start
my big help. It's not hard.
But I want to say one thing about the Indiegogo campaign, if it's all right. I think even if it's not all right, I'm going to say it.
Wow.
Um,
Cut the cameras.
cut the cameras. I think people. There's a lot of crowdfunding that happens right now. There are many campaigns running. Many people we know are running campaigns, and the question I start to see from people is like, why are there so many campaigns? Why don't you find like another way to fund it? But we're really in a climate where it's hard to get funding and have control and kind of ownership of what you're doing. And we had some conversations, that didn't really pan out, where we felt like we didn't really have, the ability to do what we wanted and have control of what we wanted. And so, as a group, we got together and said, like, look, we don't need to raise that. This doesn't cost that much. We can tell these stories with not that much money. And I think, for people who are contributing to this, think about this. We're asking for 20 grand to make 6 episodic stories
And a wraparound.
Oh yeah, and a wraparound by a whole bunch of awesome creatives. So you're getting a lot. You're getting a lot for your money in that regard. And it's just like the only way to get independent art made at this point is really like supporting creators directly. Because once it comes out and it's on streaming services, even if you watch it, we're making like 1 cent, per hour and all kinds of terrible stuff, as Neil knows from the reports on Once in Future Smash. So, it really is like at this moment where you have the opportunity to help make independent art happen. And we appreciate if you take a look at the campaign. And there are rewards at many different levels. There's just like kind of basic thanks, and it goes way up to like you're basically
You get a
funding
gold
the whole
VHS
movie.
tape.
Yeah.
But we appreciate any contribution. If you can come in even a few dollars, like it's just an awesome help, and we love having people be engaged and be part of the project. So I hope that everybody will at least take a look at it and consider.
I made a post today because I see people always talking about there's no original horror movies coming out stuff, and it's like there is like constantly, but you have to like go watch it and help.
And you
help
can give us
made.
$50 to make one.
And when
Buy us some food on set, please.
Yeah.
That's where our
When
money's
most
going.
of us were growing up, like there was no way to help like a movie actually get made.
Mhm.
And so it's cool that you can do that and, be part of it in some way and, see your name in it, even as a thank you. I mean, that stuff is cool.
Absolutely.
So, anyone else, how can you follow you guys? We have the final transmission is on TikTok. It's on different places, but definitely go to the Indiegogo. We'll put that up there. And Horror Hippies, can people follow you if you want to?
Yeah, we've got the Horror Hippies on Instagram. My personal account is Stephen Hugh Nelson.
Mine's Erica Blair.
Is it named after the Blair Witch?
It's funny because actually that's one of the reasons I didn't watch it when I was younger, because my middle name is
I love that.
People call me Blair Witch, and I was like,
oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot, Neil. You brought up a
It's a very traumatizing podcast. Alex, where can people follow you?
Yeah, you can find me on youtube.com/@AlexEra_. And actually, I think I'm at AlexEra_ on pretty much every social media platform. So go find me.
I'm going to watch your documentary too. I'm interested.
Thank you.
And Michael and Sophia, where can folks follow you?
Just our names everywhere, at Sophia Cassiola, at Michael J. Epstein. Our production company is called Launchover, so you can follow Launchover on Instagram as well.
That's basically it.
Pretty much it. Yeah.
And you can check out a variety of our films, including the two that Neil was involved with. So
I have them around here at all times. But I can't
he threw them away.
At all times.
He's like, I finally got rid of these things.
Yeah.
There we go. The ones that keep the stash and End Zone 2.
so cool.
You
I
can
believe
buy
there's
that
even.
Blu-ray
I
from
think
us.
there's even some of these left.
There are some End Zone 2 VHS available
those
for
on the
sale.
shelf.
So if you go to our shop. Is it shop? Yeah, shop.launchover.com, or just go to launchover.com.
Buy
There's a link.
stuff from us.
You can buy
Award-winning.
Award-winning.
Don't you have like a novelization too?
There's a
Yeah,
novelization of End Zone 2. Yeah, so it's award-winning and award-losing, and there's VHS.
Yeah, no one
there's
ever brings
Blu-ray.
that up. Award-winning.
Yeah, we've lost endless awards. But yeah, there's a novelization of End Zone 2 that tells like parts of the story that are missing from the ending of the film. If you've seen the documentary, you know that the last reel is missing, and the book includes what happens in that missing last reel, as well as telling you the history of why pioneerism and fights against the American Indian movement led to the naming of their high school as the George Donner High School. So important stuff.
Yeah, I'm like a Carrot Top. I just have all these props handy. Propcast. One last question here. It's interesting. Dean, he wants to know about music. So I know that's a question people ask sometimes about, like found footage. Should there be a score?
Yeah, sure. I think we all have different approaches. For our segment, since we've already filmed it, we didn't add any extra music or anything. It's just going to be, additional sound design. But ours is a little more straightforward, I guess, because I love analog horror and I did a ton of research, but then ultimately when I was deciding on our idea, I kind of just went back to like the source of what got me interested in this stuff in the first place. And so going back to, there's a reason our show is set in 1999, just that combo of Blair Witch Project and Silent Hill. That's kind of what we were drawing from, along with like Butterfly Kisses. And I think Radio Silence's segment in the last segment in the first VHS is what we were inspired by. So ours isn't quite as like analog horror, but what are your approaches?
Do you want to?
For me, I think it kind of depends on what kind of story you're trying to tell. I know there are some people who are very like, never put a score in a found footage movie ever, or I'll kill you. And I think those people are wrong, because I think there are positives and negatives to it. I think sometimes for the sake of immersion and whatnot, it makes sense to not have a score. But I think there's many opportunities in certain types of found footage stories, especially in mockumentary, or if you have a story where there's like an editor character or something, or even if there's not, even if it's just the type of story that you think benefits from having a score, right? Like my found footage movie last year, what I remember is a mystery drama, and it's very kind of experiential and about memory and about the emotional experience of the characters. And so I did have a score for the film to kind of help bring you on the emotional journey of the characters. And people liked it, as far as I've been told. So, I think it really kind of depends on the story and what you're trying to do and what boundaries you want to push, I guess, because I've seen found footage movies that do it very well. And I've seen some that do it not very well, where it kind of brings you out. But again, that kind of comes down to just what kind of story and experience you're trying to create.
I think for ours, the sound design and score is going to be so important because you are looking at a black and white pixelated image that's 190 pixels. So we kind of wrote it to be kind of an audio drama almost. So like the visual doesn't necessarily matter because basically it's going to be static cameras within the command module on one person. So
yeah, I don't want to say the visual doesn't matter, but we did write, the script is written such that it could work also as a pure audio drama. So we were very influenced by audio drama. Now, in terms of score, I am still committed to the score making sense in the world of the thing. So it's not going to have a score in the sense of like there's
it's not
some
gonna have like
music.
an orchestral.
It's not going to have that kind of thing. But the sound design will functionally be like a score. And in the world, I mean, not to spoil too much about it, but like the character is experiencing kind of like electrical interference and other things and hearing things. And so there are certain aspects of that play into his sensory perception that can include kind of musical type or sound type things.
Well, it's also interesting because like there's, everybody builds their own idea of what space sounds like in a sci-fi movie. And so like there's a lot of flexibility in like what are the hums and what are the tones that you're hearing. So I think there's like a lot of room there that we're really excited to play with is like, what does this sound like? You go to a hospital, what is that? It's beeping, there's the buzzing, so there's a lot of space there to do like a non-traditional
space, pun intended.
A non-traditional score.
And I will say, as a part of our perks in the Indiegogo, if you are one of the alien voices, that alien voice isn't necessarily going to be clearly like you're going to hear that voice saying stuff, but that is going to be manipulated and included throughout the entire thing because that's part of the story, is this communication happening. So you are essentially, by joining our cast and being part of the alien voices, you're also part of what I would consider the score of the film.
Interesting.
So give us money and do that.
Yeah. And one last thing, since you guys all met through the festivals, like, would the plan be to go to festivals with this when it's finished? And how would that work as a series?
Yeah, we definitely would love to do that. Hopefully that we could play as many episodes as they'll let us. I know like Creep Tapes, they were going around and they were playing 3 out of their 6 episodes. So it might just depend on the festival, and we could kind of mix and
rotate them. Yeah.
Rotate. Yeah. Because that would be a great kind of little victory tour.
I think that's interesting too, because then if you see the movie at different festivals, you might see different episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be like Clue. When the Clue movie came out, it was different endings, whatever. Yeah. Some people might not have got that reference.
I'm old enough to know what you're talking about, Neil.
Yeah. All right, we're good. All right, it was great to see Michael Sophia again, and great to meet all 3 of you.
Yeah, great to meet you. Nasty.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I'm sure we'll have you back at some point when things are going along, or talk about some of the other stuff.
Yeah,
unless you never want to talk to me again, which I understand.
No, thank you for having us,
thanks.
Neil, as always.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.